program part of our meeting started, let me introduce the president of the Bluegrass IIBA chapter, who has some message and announcements for you. Bill
And I,
Towers.
Thank you. And I'll keep this short because I know we really want to get onto the topic because tonight's topic is going to be a good one. So, yeah, let me,
It
if you
keeps
can go,
moving on me.
uh, PowerPoint. Anyways, so what I'd like to do is just some quick thanks. Number one, to our sponsors. If it wasn't for the sponsors, I mean, they make so much possible for us, and I want to thank them. Thank you very much. Next
And,
slide.
and not many chapters have 7 sponsors.
Nope, they do
So
not. So it really helps us to do a lot. Also, to the members, I want to thank you, but also to talk about for those that are not members, the benefits of being an IIBA member is, between the resources, the opportunities, the just because you're engulfed by the people that are also BAs to be able to hear recommendations and how they've done things through their their war stories. It is a wonderful thing. But chapter membership is great. It gives you discounts. It gives you access to resources. But again, it just really comes down to notifying you of opportunities out there for presentations. Uh, and actually, let's go to the next slide. And that's not to mention all the great certifications they have, but also, again, resources with the BABIC there, all the free books that you can get on business analysis, and all the certifications, especially on the BABIC. And then even the like the extensions, they're all based off of those exams are based off of those books. There's webinars out there that are only available to those people that are members. And also, if nothing else, also the webinars, their calendar is full of so many opportunities at Global. Ours is as well. Certainly, I would recommend people look at our calendar on our site because we are an extremely busy chapter with a lot of opportunities going on, presentations. You switched it on me.
what you need your slide to talk? You mentioned our calendar. We do have a calendar view. I like this
Mhm.
grid view, so you can see what's going on every month and that. But um, the grid view will show you tonight's meeting and what we've got coming up. Some of this is professional development training.
Mhm.
Um, I know you're covering some of these here soon, so I won't
Yeah.
go through them or anything.
Yeah.
Um,
Most of
I
the
feel
presentations and the classes that are out there, they're free or they're significantly discounted for us. So the membership more than pays for itself. And the different topics that we have out there, it's a great variety. So I'll go buzz through these real quick, but our upcoming events that we have, one of my favorites, social event, Agile After Hours, Let Them Eat Cake, coming up. This one is, these are always so much fun. Uh, these ladies they do a fabulous job. They kind of commingle. It's like cookie recipe and baking recipe exchange with agile conversation and typically even an exercise that we'll go through. Uh, they take what is sometimes not the most exciting topics, and but they make it fun, and you don't even realize you're learning. That's the best part about it. But this is one of my favorite social events that we do with the IIBA, and it's in conjunction with Southeast Michigan and Chicagoland. Next. And again,
uh,
these are all out on our calendar. That one is coming up on the 20th, next Wednesday.
Monday.
Is it Monday? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, Is it really? I put next Wednesday. Okay. Maybe I'm looking at the wrong calendar. But anyways, October 20th, 7 to 8:30.
And there's the link in chat if you want to
Yeah.
register for that one.
Yeah. Otherwise, these are all on our website. Definitely go out there, take a look. Uh, so next one I have on here is the leveraging design thinking to drive value to your customers. It's a workshop with Yulia Kosarenko, and you can see the pricing up in the top right. Uh, Yulia's, I've been personally to many of her workshops, and they are always so awesome. She's very knowledgeable. She's a great instructor. This one is 2 sessions, 1 week apart, 2 hours each session from 7 to 9 Eastern. And guaranteed this one will be a good one. And you know what? The other thing too is for the hours that you get for continuing education hours, the CDUs, you really, I mean, you can see up there, $79, and you get, I think it's probably 4 CDUs. If I think if that's, yeah,
Yes.
there it is.
Yep.
Yep, 4 CDUs for $79. I mean, and you're going to learn something great. So next slide. And like I said, we have lots of stuff constantly going on. Here's another one we have. This one is October 24th. This one is business analysis and agile projects course. This one's with C Prime. That one you can see in the top right corner. Uh, the registration's 1,079, and this one goes for 2 full days, I believe, and October 22nd to the 24th, 3 days. For a second, yeah, 3 full days. There is an early bird pricing, which looks to have already ended, uh, but otherwise, still a great deal and great topics. They always wow the audience. Next one,
There are 3 half days.
3 half days. Okay. And here's what Aaron was alluding to earlier. This is going to be a fun one too. So our lunch and learns. This is the Spark Your Stakeholder session. It's an interactive, collaborative game workshop with our own Steph and Aaron. And this one's on October 22nd. It'll be at lunch. And so bring your lunch and strap in and get ready to enjoy. It'll be fun. These things it's a nice break in the day too to top it all off. But you can see what you'll gain at the bottom there. Lots of different skills. Next. All right. And again, that's why I want to go through these fast, but you can see this one coming up, Systems Thinking Fundamentals Workshop with the Strevo. This one, you can see the pricing up in the top right. And also this Tuesday, November 4th, Wednesday, November 5th, 2 hours each. So it's 2 2-hour days. And I'm not sure if Bruce is teaching this one, but 4 PDUs, CDUs, and look at that one for early member. Before 10/17, you have 2 days, $66 if you're an IIBA member. That is a killer price. Great. I'm sure that's one of my favorite topics. So yeah, I highly recommend this one as well. Next one.
Yep. Bruce will be teaching that.
Is he teaching? Okay, good.
Yep.
And I'm not sure if that was the last one. Nope, we do have another one. November 6th, I took this out to another lunch and learn. So this one is with Christina Tan, and it's where a lunch and learn of BA techniques. And November 6th, noon to 12:45. It's Eastern time. And this one, uh, this one really looks good. I'm looking forward to this one. I've not seen Christina present before, but she does have a great reputation. So I'm looking forward to it. Hopefully, I'll see you there. I think that was the last one.
I saw her
Here
at
from
BBC. She did so well that I invited her to come to our chapter.
Excellent. There you have it. Oh,
and
I do
she
have.
is from the UK. England, not University of Kentucky. Okay.
So I do have one more on here for November 6th, And this one is another Lunch and Learn BA technique, vMost, and it's exploring generative and agentic capabilities. Gen AI. This one is a soft ed class, and you can see the pricing up at the top. There is a early bird registration, and
Yeah, it looks like you did
October
not
25th.
change the title there.
Is that what okay.
It
I
has
got
nothing
you.
to do with the most.
No, you're right. No, it's Gen
This,
AD.
this is a conference that Soft Ed is putting on. Their sixth one that they put on this Gen AI Day. So six consecutive conferences on this, and you can see the speakers that will be there that day.
I love Soft Ed. They're one of my, well, I love all of our sponsors, but you know, I've worked a lot with Soft Ed, and they always wow. So this one I am looking forward to. I am going to sign up for this one. Make sure if you are, make sure you sign up before the 25th so you can get the early bird price. And
That was the final one.
that was the final one. Yes.
Okay, so you're going to introduce the speaker? No, I'm kidding. So for those that have not been at a Bluegrass meeting prior, I am Aaron Whittenberger. I am the Vice President of Professional Development for the Bluegrass chapter. And we just heard from Bill Powers, is our president. You heard earlier from Kathy Lee, our finance. We have Will Powers is here, who's our executive director for Cincinnati, Northern Kentucky branch. Steph Hawkins is our vice president of community outreach and engagement. They're all here with us this evening. And, you know, we've got an excellent chapter leadership board. So I don't have presentation slides to present tonight and that because this is an audience discussion, you know, audience participation. I'm not here to lecture or to tell you all about it and that, but to basically ask the question that is the title of this event and everything. And, you know, many of the Agile purists and enthusiasts, I even hear it today, which they'll point to the Agile or the Scrum Guide and point to the three roles that are in the Scrum Guide: the developer, the product owner, and the Scrum Master. And they say there is no business analyst role. You don't need business analysis on Agile projects. And if that didn't make you cough and choke, um, you might have a different opinion than I do. But we wanted to discuss that and get everybody's viewpoint, see what you feel about it, um, and that. So we know here in Cincinnati, and I live in Northern Kentucky, just south of Cincinnati. Will is up at Cincinnati. Um, but we know two or three organizations in Cincinnati who recently transitioned to Agile. And recently, mean over the last 2 or 3 years. And when they did that, they changed all their, not all, but some of their business analysts to be product owners. And those that didn't make the transition, they let those BAs go. So kind of the same trend or same thinking. There is no business analysis role in Agile. Um, so what say you?
I think that's nuts because, you know, whether they have the title of business analyst or not, they, I mean, you still have to, you still have to find out what the need is, right? And, you know, whether you call them requirements or not, you know, or a backlog or whatever, you still have to find out from the stakeholders what you can do, what you need to do for them, what you need to solve, and how you need to solve it. And even if, yeah, I know in Agile they say, oh well, it changes, and so you don't need business analysts, but you do, because somebody still has to work with those stakeholders and make sure that they understand, and that sort of thing, right?
And so what I hear you say, and what a lot of those agile enthusiasts will say, is that in agile, business analysis is a skill, not a role. So they say that all your team members need to do some business analysis. They need to do their own analysis in order to develop the enhancement, the feature, the
Yeah.
product that they're doing and everything. They'll talk about the T-shaped um, team member. And, they'll show, and each team member will have something different. So the stem of the person is what they're really strong and deep in. And you may have one team member that's a developer, that's what they're deep in. You may have another one that analysis is their deep thing. Another one may have testing as their deep thing, but then their arms, the short, which would be broad, and that would be like your developer would have development deep, one arm would be analysis, one arm would be testing, your T-shaped team member in that. And, each team member would have something different on each arm and down the stem of the thing. But the concept there, and what I've heard people say, is that all agile team members need to know how to code. Truth or
Really?
myth?
Why would they all have to need to code? I mean,
There's
Yeah, no
people
kidding.
out there that are proponing that and that are, pushing that thing forward, that view
wow.
forward.
It can't hurt,
Yeah.
but why would that be required? You're working on strategy and
Right.
you're keeping everyone in sync and educated on what you're doing.
I think it actually can hurt. What if we all know how to code and so we spend all of our time talking about coding and nobody's doing the analysis and nobody's doing the
Right.
organization? We
Right.
need people
Nobody's,
that have specialties and then stay out of my business and let me do my job.
yeah. Nobody's working with the stakeholders and trying to understand them. Yeah.
So that topic got the thumbs down from Linda.
I think,
Anybody else out
Well,
there?
yeah.
also too, whoops, go ahead.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. You can go.
Well, I was going to say, it's like, you have to have multiple roles in this process, right? Not everybody can be a coder. Not everybody can be a requirements gatherer. You still need to have people that are going to, prioritize and coordinate and make sure that, whatever requirements are being or user stories are being gathered and reviewed and approved, ultimately get into some sprint, the development work happens, the other respective people within, the life cycle of it, whether you have QA people doing testing or whatever, you still need people to do that. I mean, the people that are doing development coding are going to be doing all the coordination and making sure that, things are flowing as they should. So
Okay.
so it's like you can't, it's great that everybody can be, have many, many skills, but you still need to have people with core skills and all of that.
I agree.
Yeah. I agree. I don't think it should be required to at least to be able to like fully code. I think it would, especially if you're working around IT, it would be good to know some of the fundamentals or have kind of an idea of like, say that they're quoting like it, some of the basic terminology, that type of thing may be good, but I don't think it should be required to be like full-fledged at being able to code.
Right. There's a difference between being being fully technical and being able to work with people who are technical and talk to them and understand what they're talking about, right?
Yep. And Erica put it very nicely in the chat, jack of all trades, master of none. Which, you know, those enthusiasts of Agile, that's kind of what they're creating is, you know, you've got all your team members who can do some analysis. They could do some testing and that. So those are not roles, those are skills. Any thoughts?
The advantage to having even a fundamental understanding of it is that you can do a better sniff test. But yeah, I'm all for stay in your lane. That's why we have developers.
Yeah. Love the avatar, Patricia.
I saw that.
So anyone else haven't spoken up yet or have a different viewpoint?
Is the expectation in Agile teams that the product owner is going to ensure value-driven delivery? And who elicits the business need, requirements, and ongoing elicitation? Does the PO lead all of the prioritization?
All right, this is very interesting because that sounded like Jen Stein talking, but it was Will Powers that lit up on my board, like he was
That's
talking.
weird.
It was me.
So that was interesting. And why
Agile
do I
says,
have two, get a Bill Powers and a William?
I sent her my
Powers?
link. I sent her a
Agile
link.
says-
Oh, was
Agile
that
says-
Jen?
Yeah.
That's on your link?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That makes sense now. Thank you for clearing up the confusion.
Yeah. That's why you're not supposed to use somebody else's link.
We are renegades, you know.
Right.
Rebels.
Sometimes you got to do what you got to do, though,
We're
right?
rebels
Yeah.
that way. Yeah, we're crazy.
Thank you, Bill, for sending
All
me
right.
that link. I did
Absolutely.
sign in on my phone, which is connected as Einstein.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm also the other person on your link. I'm sorry about that.
That's all right.
I also have a Jen Stein in here. That's you too, Jen?
It's my phone.
That's your phone. Okay.
Connected through the phone because I didn't have the link, and then I saw that Bill had sent it. So I'm the
So,
renegade on his link.
so is the product owner responsible for value-driven delivery?
That's the standard for Scrum, that the product owner is responsible for prioritization. Beyond that, the team is responsible for value-driven development and delivery.
I agree with that.
Okay, but it's the
The
product
team-
owner.
The team is going to ensure value delivery.
Well, that's the high goal. Here's the problem with everybody having every job. There's too much knowledge. I can't assimilate all the knowledge there is in my own vertical, much less everybody else's verticals. If I talk about UI UX, I start getting into stuff. It's like, I've never heard of that before. I've never heard of that before. And I thought I knew UI UX. And I mean, there's just too much knowledge. We have to be specialists in our knowledge area and bring that to the team and let each person have their own role and their own area of knowledge. If we're all developers and all POs and all everything else, I don't see how it would work.
Okay. You got a heart from somebody. I didn't see whose name was up.
That was me. I mean, you want to have a solid understanding of what everyone else's core responsibilities are, right? Know what they do, have an understanding, but you still have to have your core expertise and fill that role, because if you're spread too thin, to what she was just saying, you're not going to do amazing things.
Okay.
I love it that I can read a JSON, or I can figure out what a SQL will do. I'm not great at writing any of that stuff. That's not my job. But my job is to understand it enough and then go do my job.
And reading XML. That's
Well,
what
I'm not claiming that one yet.
I think one of my greatest tasks I do as a BA on an Agile team is to create shared understanding. So if you don't have a professional business analyst there, who's creating shared understanding? Does the entire team really see the same picture, the same vision, and know the expected outcomes of each product backlog item? And understand it to the same degree and that.
And the answer is maybe, maybe not, though. Right? Yeah.
It would mean all of your team members
Yeah.
have that skill.
Yeah.
Okay, anyone else? Van, Tom, Artie, Linda? Feel free to
My-
speak up. Jonathan!
My experience is a product owner, it's a full-time job. I became a product owner for 2 Scrum teams, and they had
Ouch.
yeah, I'm doing 2 teams right now. They're small teams, but before I came to the team, and the reason they asked for a full-time product owner was because they had a project manager who was doing part-time product owner on the team and then doing his full-time product manager job. And the other team had a tech lead, a SME, or I don't know, I guess she's more of a SME. She's doing her full-time SME job and doing a part-time product owner job. And you can't write quality stories. You can't maintain the backlog. It just takes, and when you got a big backlog, it takes a lot of effort to get ready. We're doing the SAFe methodology, and we have quarterly planning. And leading up to that quarterly planning, you have to have all your features or your stories. You have to have the backlog ready to go for that planning because you only have so much time in the planning. And it is to manage the backlog takes quite a bit of effort, and you can't just do it, 30 minutes a day. You got meetings too. You attend the stand up. You have art syncs. You have refinement meetings. You can't do all that and code at the same time. Most coders, they spend at least 60% of their time doing coding, and
Yeah,
I
and
think that we need to talk about something specific. There's tiny things that are like not even project size that you might not even need a full team, and you might be able to do multiple jobs in that effort. If it's a tiny thing, if it's a small project or not even a project, we might be able to do it this way. But once it gets to be reasonable size, an official project, I think we all have to have our own lanes.
so I think Jonathan brought up a great point there about developers spending at least 60% of their time developing. But if they're expected to do analysis and testing at the same time in that, can they spend 60% of their time developing? And if they're not, how much does that slow down the work? Anyone else?
I kind of think that um, the differentiation is as a developer, because I've done development work, you tend to look at requirements and things like that from the perspective of what the hell code do I have to write? And I think the big differentiator is as a BA, you look at why am I writing this code? Why is this person writing this code? What are they trying to accomplish? Where developers are just going to look at it and say, tell me what code to write. You tell me what code to write, I'll write it for you. And they'll do it really well. But that doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to build you a product that can actually do your job.
Yeah, yeah. Good point, Tom. Thank you for being here.
Yeah, I had my microphone on a different channel, so I couldn't. You didn't hear
Oh,
me
you
laughing
can
at
talk,
some of the
huh?
stuff you were saying.
Okay. Anybody else have a perspective? Something we haven't talked about before?
It's kind of a little weird thing, but every time this discussion comes up, I sit there and say, nobody ever questioned on a Scrum team why they have testers. That was never part of the equation. And yet they could merrily say, we don't need no BAs. Well, if everybody's a developer, why do you need testers?
That's a good
Okay.
point. Well, you have conflict of interest problems there, don't you?
Well, I know I am supporting an agile team where sometimes the developers do get in there and test, but they test things that they did not develop. You know, we support 5 apps, and you know, certain developers are strong on one app, but we're doing cross training or have done cross training, so they're getting aware of the other apps. So, you know, one developer may test or may develop an enhancement or a new feature on one of the apps. And, you know, if our tester is not available, then we've had times where the team has swarmed around testing needs and that to get things over the finish line. So the testers will, or the developers will get in there and test something. But we always try to make sure that, you know, they're testing something that they did not develop. And so we got 2 sets of eyes on it.
Right. Because otherwise, it's like if you let developers test stuff that they developed, it's always going to work. Right.
Until it gets to production, right?
But are you thinking,
exactly.
are you
What do they
thinking
call
past unit
the
testing though,
development?
right?
Right.
I mean,
We're talking about
aren't
past unit testing.
past unit testing? Okay, just
Okay,
to
that's what I was
reconfirm
gonna
that.
ask.
Yeah. Linda, were you saying something?
That was my question. Are we talking unit testing or user testing?
Yeah, I think all developers do unit testing. What we were specifically talking about was more QA, UA testing. Okay. Anybody have anything else, Linda? Got the thumbs up?
I will say that there's a goodness in understanding other roles and understanding details, but I don't think doing everybody's role is what we should be doing. You know, I ask better questions if I know what the tester needs or if I know what the developer, you know, the limits and abilities of the tool. But I don't want to do everybody's job. I don't think anybody wants to do everybody's job.
Okay.
I think that's one of the fallacies of the whole um, definition of roles in a framework like Scrum, where they say, "Oh yeah, well, developers, yeah," and everybody perceives the developers as coders, but I think underneath it, the idea that it's not developers as coders, it's developers as people who are contributing to creating a good product, which includes business analysis.
And as I mentioned in chat there, as far as people being able to take over anybody else's role, that's more of a dev type of thing. All devs maybe need to know how to handle each other's projects, but that is distinctive from product owner and scrum master. And so I don't think that those are generally considered to be need to be everybody needs to do everybody's role. And BAs probably, do you fall under product owner or scrum master? I think it's a little of each. Maybe we already talked about this earlier, but just throwing that out there.
Okay. Somebody dropped in the chat. I think it's also a fallacy that everyone, one, would be interested in doing all responsibilities, and 2, would be good at doing all of those responsibilities. I think we can all agree that people do the best work when they are having fun doing what they do and have the skills to do it. Okay. And do it well. So good point. So yeah, Kayla brings up an excellent point there about having fun doing what you do and being really good at doing that. You know, I think you know, if you don't love what you're doing, it makes work harder to do, and burnout comes a lot sooner. You know, those
laughed. Had a
limitations
boss who
and
used to say, "It's not supposed to be fun, it's work." Never really resonated with me.
but if it's not fun work, then it really feels like work, doesn't it? And you're just there to collect a paycheck. So, I mean, you could grudge through work. I know, forget what year it was, I think 2001, the US economy had a downturn, and I actually had to take a job with the IRS. Did not like that job at all until I got back into IT, doing IT work when the economy rebounded. So I was a tax forms came in, I reviewed them, marked them up for the data entry person so that they could go and speed enter these tax returns into the system. That's what my job was. It was not fun. And our markings and everything, got reviewed, and you were graded on, how well you did, how many things you missed that you were supposed to mark, things of that nature. So, it felt like someone was looking over your shoulder all the time, and was not a good, environment to work in, when I expected so much more. Any other thoughts?
For the people on Agile teams, is everyone on your team doing coding and developing? And on your team, are BAs part of your Agile teams? I'm not. I'm on a waterfall project, so I'm asking out of curiosity.
On
At my
the team, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, at my team, my company, they made the BAs product owners. So I was a BA, now I'm a product owner. So I don't know if that's yes or no, but we don't call them BAs, but they're BAs.
Jonathan, how has your job changed from being a BA to being a
Uh,
product owner?
I no longer write uh, requirements documents, but it's done in Jira Align and ADO. Like at the epic and feature level, that's more of the stuff that you put in the requirements document, like current state and future state and that part of it. And then the stories are like the requirements section. That's the individual requirements. So it's to me, it's just another way of doing BA work.
That's what I was
Okay.
thinking, that as a product owner, if you're responsible for the creation of the requirements, which you probably should be, having a BA there is just facilitating the work that you're supposed to be doing anyway. Would that be a
And
fair statement?
yeah, and not everyone has the skills to be a product owner, a good product owner. You can't just say, "Oh, anybody can do that. Anybody can write a story."
Anyone can be
Because
a BA.
yeah,
So, Jonathan,
Uh,
do you have a BA on your team that helps you?
no, we don't have a separate BA.
Okay. So your team is basically made up of product owners, scrum master, and developers,
And a tester, one or
and
two
a tester.
testers. Yeah.
Okay.
You don't
Kayla
need no
says in
testers, they're
chat,
not part of this.
our agile teams are comprised of BA, a designer, a developer, a QA, and an educational content creator, a subject matter expert. Some teams have a separate PO, product owner. Most teams have combined that with BA, who also serves as Scrum Master. So you have one person that's serving as the BA, the product owner, and the Scrum Master. Is that what you're saying, Kayla? That's a lot of roles to play.
That sounds like way too much work for one person.
Yes, it's a mess.
It's way too many different roles to be
Yeah.
covering. Too many
I
things.
mean, I understand, that they all kind of use the same type of communication skills, facilitation, collaboration. All of those roles need that, but to put those three roles on one person, you're asking for trouble.
Well, that used to be, in the way back when, that used to be the conversation of between project managers and BAs, because there's a lot of potential overlap there, but they're looking at things from different perspectives, and when, which hat are you wearing? Am I worrying about my project schedule, or am I worrying about the validity of the product that I'm creating? Now it's expanded to, okay, now we got product owners, scrum masters, and developers, and they're just different roles that have different responsibilities, and to have them all overlapped is really kind of crazy.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
see
agreed.
it literally as people standing and looking in different directions. I mean, if I'm the PM, I look through the team at the executives. If I'm the BA, I'm looking at the team. If I'm the scrum master, I'm looking. I mean, you can't be looking all these different directions and do them well, because it takes all of our focus.
Unless your head can spin all the way around.
You know what? I think I worked with her.
To answer Stephanie's question, for my company, our agile teams are comprised of a product owner, a scrum master, a business analyst, 3 or 4 developers typically, 1 or 2 testers, and a business architect. That's a role we haven't talked about before. But when we transitioned to Agile, which my company is on our 6th year of our Agile journey. So anyone who thinks that a company, especially a very large company like what we are, you're going to do it, you just flip a switch and say, now we're Agile. No, that's not going to work. That's how many organizations fail. Um, it's a process to get there and to bring a lot of people along. Our company, when we started to transition, we sent people out for training. They supported our people that they expected to make the transition. Um, so a lot of companies don't do that, and that's why a lot of companies fail in the transition. But um, when we did the transition in that, such as 2 years ago was when my area transitioned to Agile. I was doing waterfall before that. Then they came through in our area and said, we're switching you over, transitioning you to Agile. They gave us training. Um, they gave us introduction. I found that most of the developers couldn't even spell Agile or Scrum. They'd never heard of it before, never have done it before. And I at least had some training in it. And actually I was a scrum master once for one I was a consultant in at a bank who was failing at Agile for the very same reason. They didn't support their people and they didn't have a methodical way of doing the transition. So they failed at it. But my organization, they came through 2 years ago and transitioned us to Agile. They put everybody, we actually made 5 Agile teams supporting about 36 apps. So each Agile team had 4, 5, 6 apps that they supported. All the developers were dedicated to one team. At the time, I was dedicated to 2 teams and was back up, supporting another business analyst on a 3rd team. Um, now, they just got somebody on one of my teams that I was on 2 teams. And, I trained her. She took over one team for me. Now I'm dedicated to one team. Our testers are dedicated to one team, and we have 2 testers on our team. We have 3 developers. one product owner, one scrum master, one architect. And the architect is actually spread across 2 teams. And so he's the one that is spread across teams. Everyone else is dedicated to one team. And that's what Agile calls for, is that you're 100% dedicated to one initiative. So does anybody have any other, now Jonathan is more, gone the way the Agile enthusiast would say. So his organization, he said transitioned as business analyst to product owner, let some of the other business analysts go. They don't have a business analyst. So basically a product owner, you have a scrum master, don't you, Jonathan? Oh, you're
Yes,
doing safe.
we have a scrum master, and
Okay, even though you're doing safe.
yeah, we're broken into scrum teams, but it all rolls up to
Okay. And
yeah, we have
developers and testers. So
yeah, and there are business architects, and they serve overall at the train level over the scrum teams, and we have tech a IT architect also, and it's like a solution architect that serves multiple teams. They don't sit down at the scrum team level.
yeah, when we did our transition, when the company first started 6 years ago, they decided to go with the largest business unit we had in the organization, and they had train cars. So they had multiple scrum teams working off the same product backlog with one product owner, well, I don't know if it was one scrum master or if each what they called train car had its own scrum master.
Agile release train. Yeah. We
Yeah,
have
so
multiple trains.
yeah. So and each, unit had their own thing, features or that they concentrated on, but they were all working off the same product backlog, which was very interesting. Can we discuss pods? Is that what we just discussed, Steph? Does that mean the same thing?
Well, what I was hearing was a lot of people, not necessarily the last person, but where people are dedicated to teams and all of that. And then, we have it at many times where we have pods set up for specific uses across different systems and stakeholders. So they, still have their teams that they're supporting, but they'll go for a specific use or something that we're trying to deploy. So we'll do the pods as well. So there aren't enough resources across the organization to deliver everything that needs to be delivered. So you have to kind of like determine how best to use the resources. And the resources a lot of times takes a blending because of cross work streams. So you may be in your own product area, but because you are upstream or downstream, you have to go off and break off and be part of pods or whatever, whether it's a big project or a little project or just specific, like come together for some testing for an issue that's come up or a specific product where you just, because of your expertise, you're needed there.
Okay. All right.
And sometimes those are driven by vendors, like they'll get like a vendor to come in and lead a specific effort for a very short term, and they'll pull in those resources. And like people think of it as a project, but it's the people aren't devoted to that project. They have a part of it, but they still have many other things that they're doing at the same time.
Okay. I know at least one of the organizations that I was talking about in Cincinnati earlier that had transitioned on some of their BAs to product owner and let some BAs go that did not make that transition. A year or two later, they're hiring business analysts back. So they learned how important, business analysis is. And whenever I come across someone, an agile enthusiast that is, trying to, push forward the idea of the T-shaped team member, or that all the developers on the Scrum team or the Agile team need to know how to code. My argument is, I'm a professional business analyst. I don't code the way, today's coders do. I was a developer at one time, just like Tom said. Not in the client server Java, C sharp stuff that today's developers are doing. I wouldn't want that. But I will say, my ability to create the shared understanding, to elaborate product backlog items, and to do that, the professional business analysis services that I give that Agile team develops better products. That's what comes out of the back end. Because we have professional testing services, we have professional business analysis services. It's not a skill on our teams, it's a role.
Which is great because it sounds like you're able to really deliver quality goods versus having to focus in multiple directions to meet changing objectives.
Yeah. And I can think of only once in the past 2 years that we put something into production that we had to back out because it didn't work or that it didn't meet and we're developing everything for our internal users and that. So not a lot that goes out. I take that back, some of our systems are client or, facing. So we have agents, or what they actually are they're external to the company, but they have access to our systems and they could access some of the systems I support. But typically it's internal users, end users of our systems. That's who we're developing for. It's when I get into meetings, I go with the product owner to meetings with stakeholders to define features. When they make an ask, we go back and say, what are you asking for? And, I can ask them clarifying questions there that the product owner doesn't think of. And and it ends up, being a better product that we support. And when it does get to production, it meets their expectations instead of, I've been on other teams, especially when I was doing waterfall and that we didn't meet the expectations because they didn't, the stakeholders didn't articulate it well and everything. And so they were disappointed when they got the thing. And of course, in waterfall, it's at the end of the process, so I think, and my argument when I hear all of this is because you have professional business analysis services, you have professional testing services provided at that Scrum team, you get better products that meet your customers' expectations. What can we do better? All right, any other thoughts? We're coming to time. We're at time, exactly. Any other thoughts before we part? Was this good discussion? Did you like it?
I enjoyed
Yes,
it.
definitely.
It's been a long time since we hashed these things through to see what everybody's doing and just to get an understanding of like how everybody experiences their work.
Yes. So seeing some hearts and thumbs ups, love it. Okay. So, a little different format here. We'll do things like this in the future. We've done panel discussions in the past. This was the first time I can remember that we did a full audience discussion with me not presenting something, but just facilitating the discussion, making sure that it keeps moving on and everything. My role here was a facilitator, not a presenter. And I appreciate everybody's thoughts and putting forward your thoughts and everything. Jonathan works in a much different environment than I do. And some of you had stated in that. They kind of both work. And it really comes to the company's management of what they feel and how they're going to implement Agile or Scrum or SAFe, Scaled Agile. There's many methodologies under that Agile umbrella. We're Scrum. Jonathan is SAFe. So, I appreciate everybody. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your thoughts and putting those forward. Loved the conversation. It was a terrific conversation. Join us next month. I think it's November 19th, if I'm not mistaken. We'll do the AI, Gen AI for BAs, learn by doing, again for 10-15 minutes. Then Raj will be here to talk about a day in the life of a AI-enabled BA. So thank you for joining us. Appreciate you for being here, and have a great rest of your week.
Thank you.
Thank
Good
you.
night.
Thank you.